Long before there were castles piercing the sky, and centuries before a sorting hat ever sang a rhyme, magic was not a subject to be studied. It was a force to be feared and revered, as wild as a storm coming off the ocean and as quiet as moss growing on a stone. We tend to think of magic as a list of words, Latin commands, wand movements, potions, recipes written in old books. But there was a time when magic had no language. It was the hum of the earth itself. It lived in the marrow of the ancient trees, in the dark, cold depths of the lakes, and in the fire that kept the wolves at bay. The first wizards did not go to school. They stood alone on windswept hills, listening to the whispers of the wind, trying to understand a power that surged through their veins like lightning. They were not students. They were explorers of the invisible. They touched the raw nerves of the universe with their bare hands. This is the story of that time, the time of the first spark, the era of the Druids, the wand makers, and the solitary wanderers who paved the road that would one day lead to a school in Scotland. It is a story about the moment humanity realized that the world was not just made of matter, but of spirit. So let us strip away the robes and the classrooms. Let us step out of the library and into the wild ancient woods. The fire is lit, the stars are watching, and the magic is waiting to be found. Hi, I'm Max. I'm really glad you're here tonight. We spend so much of our lives surrounded by noise, notifications, traffic, the constant hum of the modern world. It's exhausting. But tonight, we're going to turn all of that off. We are going to go back to a time when the only sound was the crackle of a campfire and the wind in the trees. I want you to get comfortable, whatever that means for you. Curl up, stretch out, pull the blankets high. Imagine you are sitting near a warm, low fire in the middle of a vast, safe forest. The air is cool on your face, but the heat of the fire keeps you warm. Watch the flames dance in your mind. Orange and gold. Let your eyes get heavy. Let your shoulders drop. We aren't going to worry about dates or names tonight. We are just going to feel the history. We're going to listen to the origin story of magic itself. Take a deep breath, smell the wood smoke and the pine, and let it out. The night is quiet. The story is beginning. Let's go back. Imagine you are standing on a hill in what will one day be called the British Isles. The year is unnumbered. It is thousands of years before the Romans, before the Vikings, before the first stone of Hogwarts is ever quarried. The landscape around you is vast and unbroken. Dense, primeval forests of oak and yew stretch to the horizon, a sea of green canopies under a grey, swirling sky. There are no roads here, only animal tracks and the ley lines, invisible rivers of energy that flow beneath the earth like veins of silver. You are watching a small group of people gathered around a standing stone. They are not wearing robes of silk or carrying polished sticks. They are dressed in furs and rough-woven wool. Their hands are stained with earth and berry juice. These are the Druids, the proto-wizards, the first humans to realize that they are different. To them, magic is not a tool. It is a conversation with nature. They do not command the elements. They ask them. Watch as one of them, an elder with eyes like flint, steps forward. He places his hand on the rough surface of the stone menhir. He is not casting a spell. He is listening. He can feel the pulse of the magic stored in the rock, a vibration that hums in his bones. In this era, magic is raw and dangerous. Without wands to channel the power, it spills out of these sorcerers in chaotic bursts. Imagine trying to catch water with your bare hands. That is what casting a spell feels like to them. It is physical. It is exhausting. You see a younger woman trying to start a fire. She does not say incendio. She focuses her will, sweating, trembling, until a spark jumps from her fingertips into the dry moss. It is a moment of intense, focused effort. When the fire catches, she collapses, drained. Magic takes a toll. It demands a price in energy for every miracle performed. These people live in a world where the veil between the magical and the mundane is thin to the point of non-existence. They see creatures that modern wizards have forgotten. They speak to the spirits of the river. They leave offerings for the fae folk in hollow trees. They are the bridge between humanity and the supernatural. Their magic is deeply tied to astronomy. Look up at the sky in your mind. Without light pollution, the Milky Way is a blazing ribbon of white fire. The Druids track the movements of the stars not just for time, but for power. They know that when Sirius is high, healing magic is stronger. They know that during an eclipse, the shadows lengthen and dark things wake up. This is why they build the circles. Stonehenge, Avebury, the Ring of Brodgar. You are walking through one of these circles now. It is night. The stones loom above you, silent sentinels. To a muggle, this is just a pile of rocks. But to you, observing with the inner eye, the circle is alive. It is a machine. The stones are positioned to amplify the natural magic of the earth. When the moon hits a certain angle, the air inside the circle shimmers. It becomes a sanctuary, a place where the chaotic magic can be stabilized. It is the first classroom, the first hospital, the first parliament of wizards. But it is a lonely life. There is no ministry of magic to set laws. There is no Diagon Alley to buy supplies. If you need a potion ingredient, you have to forage for it in the deep woods, risking encounters with wolves or worse. If you need to learn a new skill, you have to find a master willing to teach you, often journeying for months on foot. Knowledge is precious, hoarded, and passed down orally. There are no books here, and there is fear. The non-magical people, the muggles of the Stone and Bronze Ages, look at these druids with a mix of awe and terror. They come to them when they are sick or when the crops fail, begging for help. But they also whisper behind their backs. If a storm destroys a village, the local wise man or healer is often blamed. You can sense the tension in the air, the fragile truce between those who can touch the invisible and those who cannot. It is the seed of the persecution that will eventually drive wizards into hiding. Yet, there is a beauty in this primitive magic that the modern world has lost. Watch a healing ritual. The druid does not just wave a wand and fix a broken bone. He grinds herbs, dittany, yarrow, comfrey, into a paste. He sings a low, rhythmic chant that matches the heartbeat of the patient. He binds the wound with leaves. He pours his own vitality into the injured person. It is intimate. It is a transfer of life force. The magic is woven into the very act of caring. As you stand in the ancient forest, watching the firelight flicker on the faces of these first magical people, you realize something profound. They are not weaker than the wizards of Hogwarts. In some ways, they are stronger. They do not rely on crutches. They are the source. They are the battery. But the world is changing. The population is growing. The demands on magic are increasing. The raw, chaotic power of the bare hand is becoming too unpredictable, too dangerous. There is a need for focus, a need for a tool that can take this wild river of energy and turn it into a precise stream. Somewhere in the Mediterranean, and simultaneously in the dark forests of Germany and the hills of Britain, craftsmen are experimenting. They are picking up branches of yew, of holly, of vine. They are finding that certain woods react to their touch. They are finding that if they insert something magical into the wood, a hair, a feather, a heartstring, the wood wakes up. The age of the Druid is ending. The age of the wand is about to begin. You leave the stone circle behind. You float forward in time, watching the forests recede slightly, watching the first true roads being cut into the earth. The air feels different now, sharper, more charged. The hum of the earth is being channeled. You are drifting towards a small, dusty workshop in a time that is still ancient to us, but modern to the Druids. The sign above the door is not in English, but the name is familiar, a name that will echo for 2,000 years. Ollivander. Let us step inside. The transition from the raw, hand-cast magic of the Druids to the focused precision of the wand was not an overnight revolution. It was a slow, dangerous evolution that spanned centuries. You are now drifting into the bustling, dusty streets of a Mediterranean port city, perhaps somewhere in ancient Greece or Rome, or even earlier, in the cradle of civilization. The air smells of spices, unwashed bodies, and the sharp tang of ozone. Tucked away in a narrow alley, ignored by the soldiers and the merchants, is a shop that feels out of place. The sign is faded, the script archaic, but the vibration coming from within is unmistakable. It is the workshop of an ancestor of the Ollivander family. The year is roughly 382 BC. Step inside. The shop is dim, lit only by the glow of magical coals. The air is thick with sawdust and the scent of exotic materials, dragon dung, dried herbs, and varnishes. You see a man hunched over a workbench. He is not a warrior like the Druids. He is an artisan. His fingers are calloused, stained with ink and oils. He holds a piece of wood, not a rough branch found in the forest, but a carefully carved, smoothed shaft of cypress. This is the birth of magical technology. For generations, wizards had struggled to control their power. A spell to light a candle could accidentally burn down a house if the caster's emotions were unchecked. The wand changed everything. It acted as a conductor, a lens. It took the chaotic water of magic and forced it through a pipe, creating pressure and direction. Watch the craftsman work. He is hollowing out the cypress wood. This is the most delicate part of the process. If he splits the wood, the wand is ruined. He works with a silence that is almost religious. Next to him lies the core. In this era, cores are not standardized. There are no unicorn hairs or phoenix feathers sold in jars. Every core is a trophy. This particular core is a fragment of a kelpie's mane, harvested from a dangerous river in the north. It is wet, slimy, and pulsates with a faint greenish light. The moment of insertion is critical. You see him slide the hair into the wood. He seals it with a spell, murmuring words that fuse the organic matter together. The wand shudders on the table. It lets out a low whistle. It is alive. The wood, the body, and the core, the soul, have bonded. This innovation by the Ollivanders and other early wand makers across Europe shifts the balance of power in the world. Suddenly, magic is accessible to those who do not have the raw, brute strength of a shaman. A wizard with a wand can perform delicate charms. They can levitate a feather without crushing it. They can heal a cut without draining their own life force. But with precision comes danger. You travel north again, watching the spread of this technology. You see a duel in a Roman gladiator arena. Two wizards, slaves captured from Gaul, are forced to fight. They have wands. The battle is terrifyingly fast. Jets of green and red light cross the air. It is no longer a wrestling match of wills. It is a gunfight. The killing curse is not yet named Avada Kedavra, but the intent is there. The magic is lethal, efficient, and detached. The wand allows a wizard to kill from a distance without touching the victim. It changes the morality of magic. It makes violence easier. The quest for cause becomes a legendary pursuit. You fly over the Carpathian Mountains. You see a witch tracking a dragon. She is not hunting it for gold or glory. She is hunting it for its heartstring. It is a dangerous solitary profession. Many die, but those who succeed bring back materials that will power the spells of generations. The relationship between wizard and magical creature changes from one of reverence to one of resource extraction. The creatures retreat deeper into the wilds, hiding from the wand makers. As the centuries roll on, you see the rise of styles of magic. The Romans bring structure. They Latinize the spells. They create a grammar of magic. Accio, Lumos, Nox. These are not just words. They are sonic keys that unlock specific frequencies of the wand's power. You watch a Roman centurion teaching a group of recruits. They are drilling wand movements, the swish and flick. It is disciplined. It is martial. The wild, intuitive magic of the Druids is being tamed, codified, and written down in scrolls. But not everyone accepts the wand. In the deep forests of Africa, in the plains of America, wizards continue to use hand magic. They view the wand as a crutch, a weakness. They argue that if you rely on a tool, you lose your connection to the source. You see a gathering of Native American shamans watching a European wizard struggle when his wand is snapped. They shake their heads. To them, the wand is a severance from nature, not a bridge. This philosophical divide creates a schism in the magical world that lasts for millennia. But in Europe, the wand wins. It becomes the symbol of status. To hold a wand is to be civilized. To be without one is to be a savage. The Ollivander family grows in influence. They begin to catalogue the properties of woods. Yew for dark deeds, holly for protection, willow for healing. They realize that the wand chooses the wizard. This is a discovery of immense spiritual weight. It implies that the wand has a quasi-sentience. It has a personality. When a young wizard walks into a shop, the wand is sensing their potential, their character, their destiny. It is a matchmaker of souls. You are now hovering over a small village in England, sometime in the 9th or 10th century. The Roman Empire has fallen. The Dark Ages are here. The knowledge of the ancients is being lost, burned in libraries, forgotten in the chaos of war. Magic is becoming fragmented. In this village, a young boy discovers he can talk to snakes. He does not know why. He scares his neighbors. He is chased into the woods. He is Salazar Slytherin. Elsewhere, a girl with fiery red hair pulls a sword from a burning hut to save her family. She is Godric Gryffindor. A girl in a valley heals a dying badger with a touch. Helga Hufflepuff. And a boy with a towering intellect reads the stars and predicts a coming storm. Rowena Ravenclaw. They do not know each other yet. They are isolated points of light in a growing darkness. But the wand, the tool perfected by the Ollivanders, will eventually bring them together. It will give them the power to build something that will outlast the empires of men. But before they meet, they must survive. The world is becoming hostile to magic. The Muggles are afraid. The witch hunts are beginning. You see the first pyres being built. You smell the smoke. The burning times are approaching. Magic needs a fortress. It needs a sanctuary. But where? You drift north, towards the wild, untamed highlands of Scotland. The magic here is old. It is deep. It is waiting. The wand has been invented. The language of spells, has been written. Now, the stage is set for the architecture. Take a moment to feel the wood of a wand in your hand, imaginary but real in your mind. Feel the warmth of the core. It is a connection to the dragon, the unicorn, the phoenix. It is a piece of the wild that you can hold. Let the smoke of the Roman workshops fade. Let the chants of the Latin spells drift away. We are going to the mountains. We are going to the lake. We are going to the place before the castle. While the wand makers of the north were perfecting their craft, refining the art of channeling power through wood and core, the southern lands of the Mediterranean were exploring the darker, more philosophical depths of magic. You are floating now over the sun-drenched islands of the Aegean Sea, but do not be fooled by the beauty of the azure water. The history here is stained with ambition and the first true corruptions of the magical soul. We are entering the era of the classical masters, where magic was not just a tool for survival, but a path to godhood. Descend onto a rocky island. The year is ancient. The history books of Muggles would call this the time of myths, but for wizards, it was the time of experimentation. You see a man standing at the mouth of a cave. He is Herpo the Foul. He does not look like the villains of later ages. He wears the simple tunic of a Greek philosopher, but his eyes are yellowed, and his soul is a labyrinth of cruelty. Herpo is the father of the dark arts. Before him, dark magic was simply dangerous or destructive magic. Lightning storms, curses of sickness. Herpo changed the definition. He sought to bend the laws of nature until they snapped. Watch him in his laboratory. It is not filled with bubbling potions, but with cages. He is breeding creatures. He takes a toad. He takes a chicken egg. It seems like a nonsensical ritual, a child's experiment. He places the egg beneath the toad. He waits. He chants in a language that predates Greek, a guttural tongue that vibrates the dust on the floor. Days pass. The egg cracks, and from it slithers a small bright green serpent. It looks harmless, but as it raises its head, you, safe in your spectral form, feel a chill that has nothing to do with temperature. This is the first basilisk, the king of serpents. Herpo has created a creature that kills with a glance. He has birthed a weapon of mass destruction. But Herpo's ambition does not stop at creating monsters. He wants to become one. He is obsessed with mortality. He sees death not as a natural end, but as an insult. He begins to research the soul. You follow him into a dark ritual. He has committed a murder, not for passion, not for gain, but cold-bloodedly, as a scientific necessity. He holds an object, perhaps a simple stone or a piece of jewelry. He performs a spell that tears at the fabric of his own being. You see a shadow detached from his body. It screams silently. It is a piece of his humanity, ripped away and forced into the object. He has created the first Horcrux. Herpo smiles. His eyes glow with a sickly yellow light, the same yellow as the basilisk. He has achieved a form of immortality, but the cost is evident even to your ghostly eyes. He looks diminished. The edges of his spirit are frayed. He has survived, but he has become less than human. This is the legacy of Greece, the discovery that magic can break the wizard as easily as it serves him. Now, let the currents of time carry you west, across the Ionian Sea, towards the rising power of Rome. The Roman wizards are different. They do not hide in caves. They walk the halls of power. They are the advisors to senators, the secret strength behind the legions. They view magic as a form of engineering. You stand in the Forum of Rome. It is the height of the empire. The air is filled with the sound of Latin. the language that will become the bedrock of all Western spellcasting. The Romans are obsessed with categorization. They take the wild, sprawling magic of the Druids and the Greeks, and they put it into boxes: charms, transfiguration, potions, divination. These are Roman categories. You watch a group of magical scholars in a library, perhaps the lost magical wing of the Library of Alexandria before it burned. They are writing scrolls. They are debating the precise wand movement for a levitation charm. Is it a swish or a flick? They standardize the pronunciation. They create the curriculum that will one day be taught in Scotland. But there is a loneliness to the Roman wizard. Look at a witch named Circe. She lives on her island, Aiaia. She is a master of transfiguration, perhaps the greatest who ever lived. She can turn men into pigs with a wave of her hand. But she is isolated. Her power makes her a god to the Muggles, but an outcast among her own kind. She yearns for connection, but her magic is a barrier. This is the recurring theme of the ancient world. Great power leads to great solitude. There is no community. There is no Hogwarts. There are only islands of genius in a sea of ignorance. As the Roman Empire begins to crumble, the order they imposed on magic begins to fracture. The legions withdraw from Britain. The roads fall into disrepair. The libraries are sacked. The knowledge of Herpo and Circe and the Roman scholars is in danger of being lost forever. We enter the Dark Ages, and they are dark indeed. You are drifting over Europe now. The year is 600 AD, then 800 AD. The light of civilization has dimmed. Muggles are terrified. The church is rising, and with it, a deep, fanatical fear of the supernatural. You see a village in France. A woman is dragged from her home. She is a healer, a wise woman. She used magic to save a child from fever. But the crops failed the next week, and the village turned on her. They tie her to a stake. They pile wood around her feet. This is the trauma that will define the wizarding world for 1,000 years. The persecution. But watch closely. The woman is not screaming in fear. She is concentrating. As the flames lick at her robes, she casts a spell. Not a wand spell. Her hands are bound. But a wandless, desperate incantation. The flame-freezing charm. The fire turns into a warm, tickling breeze against her skin. She pretends to scream to satisfy the mob, but she is unharmed. However, not everyone is so skilled. Many die. Children with accidental magic are stoned. Young wizards who haven't learned control are hunted down. The magical community realizes they cannot live alongside Muggles anymore. The trust is broken. They need to hide. They need to separate. You see families packing their belongings in the dead of night. They are moving away from the cities, away from the villages. They are looking for the wild places, the places where Muggles fear to tread. They are heading for the mountains, for the deep forests, for the moors. And in the British Isles, 4 individuals are beginning to feel a pull, a magnetic attraction towards the north. You see Godric Gryffindor. He is a warrior, a duelist. He lives in the wild moors of the West Country. He is tired of fighting Muggles. He wants to fight for something greater. He wants to protect the brave. You see Helga Hufflepuff. She is in the valleys of Wales. She is taking in the orphans, the magical children whose parents were killed by witch hunters. Her house is full. She needs a bigger sanctuary. You see Rowena Ravenclaw. She is in the glens of Scotland. She is trying to save books. She is hoarding scrolls, desperate to preserve the knowledge of the ancients before the fire takes it. She dreams of a library that never burns. And you see Salazar Slytherin. He is in the fens of the east. He is angry. He sees the Muggles as enemies. He believes that only those with pure magical blood can be trusted to wield power. He wants to build a fortress, not a school. The threads of destiny are tightening. The need for a centralized place of learning and safety is becoming undeniable. The era of the solitary wizard is ending. The era of the community is about to be born. But before the castle can rise, the land must be chosen. Drift with me now to the highlands of Scotland. Fly over the lochs that reflect the grey sky. There is a specific spot, hidden deep within the mountains, protected by ancient magic that predates even the Druids. There is a lake there, a black lake, and there is a forest that is old and sentient. Float down to the edge of the water, feel the chill. The air here vibrates. The ley lines cross here. It is a power node, a natural battery. This is where the magic wants to be. The stage is set. The actors are moving into position. The long prehistory of magic, from the first spark of the Druids, through the inventions of the wand-makers, to the dark experiments of Greece and the Order of Rome, is about to culminate in a single building. But that building is not just stone. It is an idea that magic belongs to everyone who has the gift. Rest here for a moment by the shores of the Black Lake. The water laps gently against the pebbles. The giant squid is sleeping in the depths. The centaurs are watching the stars in the forest. The castle is not here yet. There is only the wind and the potential. But you can feel it, can't you? The hum of what is to come. We have travelled through the ages of solitary magic, witnessing the raw power of the Druids, the innovation of the first wands, and the fractured brilliance of the ancient world. Now, the timeline slows. The centuries of drift are ending. We are in the late 990s AD, on the precipice of the new millennium. The world is a dangerous place. Vikings are raiding the coasts, kings are warring for crowns, and the church is tightening its grip on the souls of Europe. For a wizard or witch, life is a daily gamble. To reveal your nature is to risk death. The magical community is a scattered diaspora, a collection of hermits hiding in caves and families locking their doors against the night. But in the wild, misty highlands of Scotland, something is stirring. It is not a spell, but a gravity, a pull. You are standing on the edge of a cliff overlooking a vast, dark body of water. This is the Black Lake, though it has no name yet on any map. To your right, the dense canopy of an ancient forest stretches for miles, the forbidden forest in its infancy. The trees here are old, their roots tangling with the bones of the earth. Centaurs roam the deep woods, reading the stars, aware that the two legs are coming. The Mer people have already colonized the lake's depths, building their stone villages in the cold silt. This location was not chosen by accident. It is a nexus. The ley lines of Britain, the invisible arteries of magic we saw the Druids worship, intersect right here beneath the soil of the cliff. The air tastes metallic, like a storm that never breaks. Magic is easier here. A spark becomes a flame, a whisper becomes a shout. And now they arrive. The four. They do not arrive together. They come as wanderers, drawn by the same dream. First comes Godric Gryffindor. Visualize him. He is a man of the wild moors, broad-shouldered, with a mane of red hair that matches the lion on his shield. He rides a destrier, a warhorse. He wears a sword at his hip, a masterpiece of goblin silver that will one day vanish into a hat. Godric is tired of war. He has spent his life defending muggles from dark wizards and wizards from muggles. He is looking for a place where he can lay down his sword, not to rust, but to teach. He stands on the cliff, the wind whipping his cloak, and he sees not just a view, but a fortress of virtue. Next comes Rowena Ravenclaw. She arrives on foot, having walked the glens. She is terrifyingly beautiful, but her beauty is like a cold winter morning, sharp and distant. She carries no weapon, only scrolls. She is driven by a fear that the world is forgetting. She has seen libraries burn. She knows that knowledge is fragile. She looks at the high rock and sees a tower where the stars can be charted and the secrets of the universe preserved. She places her hand on the stone of the cliff, and you can see the faint blue glow of her magic testing the foundation. Then, Helga Hufflepuff. She does not look like a warrior or a queen. She looks like the earth itself. She arrives with a cart, followed by a gaggle of children, orphans she has collected along the way. She is the heart of the group. She brings seeds. She looks at the fertile valley near the lake and sees greenhouses. She sees a kitchen that never runs out of food. She sees a home. Her magic is warm, golden, and steady. When she steps onto the grass, flowers bloom in her footprints. And finally, Salazar Slytherin. He arrives by boat, rowing silently across the Black Lake. He is a serpent of a man, thin, pale, with eyes that see too much. He speaks Parseltongue to the snakes in the grass. He is paranoid, but brilliant. He looks at the deep dungeons beneath the rock, the cool, dark places. He sees a sanctuary where the worthy can be safe from the persecution of the outside world. He brings ambition, but also fear. The meeting of these four is the most important moment in magical history. Watch them. They stand in a circle on the flat plateau where the Great Hall will one day sit. They are wary of each other. They are different: fire, air, earth, and water. A warrior, a scholar, a nurturer, and a cunning strategist. They argue. Gryffindor wants to open the doors to everyone brave enough to fight. Slytherin wants to build walls to keep the impure out. Ravenclaw wants entrance exams. Hufflepuff just wants to feed them. But beneath the arguments there is a shared recognition. They realize that alone they are vulnerable. Together they are a superpower. They realize that they cannot just teach their own apprentices. They must build a system. They must invent school. The construction of Hogwarts begins. It is not built with slaves or workers. It is built with wands. This is the greatest feat of architectural magic ever performed. You are there to witness it. It is a symphony of creation. Godric Gryffindor levitates massive blocks of granite from the mountainside. He places the foundation stones, singing songs of strength into the mortar. Rowena Ravenclaw designs the impossible geometry. She creates the moving staircases, weaving spells of change into the wood so that the castle itself is a puzzle to be solved. She enchants the ceiling of the Great Hall to reflect the sky, bringing the outside in. Helga Hufflepuff creates the Room of Requirement, though she may not call it that yet. She creates spaces that respond to need. She enchants the fires to burn eternally warm. She builds the kitchens, inviting the house elves to come and work in safety, offering them refuge. Salazar Slytherin delves deep. He carves the dungeons, and in secret, without the others knowing, he carves a second chamber, a chamber of secrets. You see him whispering to the stone, embedding his own dark legacy into the plumbing of the castle. The castle rises. It is organic, chaotic, and magnificent. It is not a building of logic. It is a building of magic. Towers sprout like mushrooms. Corridors twist like roots. And then the students come. They come from all over Britain and Ireland. They arrive scared, ragged, hiding their abilities. They are welcomed by the four. But there is a problem. How do they sort them? Godric Gryffindor takes off his hat. It is a simple, battered piece of leather. "I will put my mind in this," he says. The others agree. They each pour a piece of their personality, their criteria, their soul into the hat. You see the magic swirling into the fabric. The hat twitches. A rip near the brim opens like a mouth. It speaks. The sorting hat is born, the first artifact of the school. The early years are a golden age. You see the four teaching. Godric dueling in the courtyard. Rowena teaching star charts in the astronomy tower. Helga teaching herbology in the mud. Salazar teaching potions in the dark. But the shadow is growing. The ideological rift between Gryffindor and Slytherin, the question of blood purity, is widening. It is the tragedy that will eventually break the fellowship. But for now, in this moment, the dream holds. As you hover over the completed castle, seeing the lights blazing in the windows for the first time, reflecting on the Black Lake, you realize what has happened. Magic has found a home. It is no longer a wild force wandering the woods. It has an address. It has a library. It has a future. The creation of magic is technically over. The magic is now created in the sense that it is organized. But the story of Hogwarts is just beginning. But before we leave this ancient era, we must look at what was left behind. The old ways. Not all wizards came to the castle. Some stayed in the woods. Some families refused to send their children. They kept the old traditions alive, the wandless magic, the rituals of the moon. This tension between the school magic, Latin, wands, books, and the wild magic, intuition, nature, will never truly go away. It is the ghost in the machine. You see a lone figure standing on a hill opposite the castle. An old druid, perhaps. He looks at the glowing lights of Hogwarts. He does not hate it, but he does not join it. He turns back to the forest. He fades into the trees. The world has split. There is the magic of the castle and the magic of the wild. You drift down to the gates of Hogwarts. They are flanked by winged boars. The motto is carved into the stone. Draco dormiens nunquam titilandus. Never tickle a sleeping dragon. It is a warning. It is a joke. It is a promise. The night is deep. The students are sleeping in their new four-poster beds. The founders are sitting by the fire in the great hall, exhausted but triumphant. You are there with them, invisible, safe. You have seen the long road. You have seen the spark in the flint, the hair in the wand, the stone on the cliff. You understand now that Hogwarts was not a miracle. It was a necessity. It was the only way magic could survive the night of history. Take a deep breath. Smell the stone and the lake water. Feel the humming of the wards that protect the grounds. The journey is almost done. We have one last thing to do. We must plant the seed of the future. We must look at the legacy that connects this ancient knight to the boy who will one day live under the stairs. We must find the root of the tree. The castle of Hogwarts stands completed on the cliff, a silhouette of towers and turrets against the Scottish moon. From the outside, it looks eternal, as if it had sprouted from the rock itself. But we know better. We have walked the long road from the first druidic spark to this moment of architectural triumph. We know that the castle is not just stone. It is a repository of thousands of years of struggle, invention, and survival. But as the centuries begin to speed up again, moving us away from the time of the founders, we must pause to consider what was lost and what was saved. The creation of Hogwarts was a funnel. It took the vast, sprawling, diverse practices of ancient magic and poured them into a single vessel. This had consequences. As you hover over the centuries, watching the school grow, You see the standardization of magic. The wild, chaotic spells of the early hedge witches are polished into the charm's curriculum. The dark, dangerous experiments of Herpo the Foul are locked away in the restricted section, becoming forbidden knowledge rather than active practice. The intuitive healing of the Druids becomes the precise science of potions. Magic becomes safer. Fewer children die from magical outbursts. The Obscurials, children whose suppressed magic turns into a dark parasite, become rarer because young witches and wizards are found and trained. The International Statute of Secrecy eventually hides this world from the Muggles, ending the burnings. But something is left behind in the woods. The raw connection. The ability to listen to the stone without a wand. Yet, look closer at the grounds. The Whomping Willow is planted. It is a violent, thrashing tree, a reminder that nature cannot be fully tamed. The Forbidden Forest remains. It is never cut down. The centaurs, the unicorns, the acromantulas, they are allowed to exist on the borders. Hogwarts respects the wild. It keeps a piece of the ancient world right on its doorstep. And deep inside the castle, the legacy of the pre-Hogwarts era lives on in objects. The sorting hat sits on a shelf in the headmaster's office. It sleeps for most of the year, dreaming of the thoughts of thousands of students. It remembers Godric Gryffindor's mind. It remembers the arguments of the founders. It is a living memory bank of the 10th century. The sword of Gryffindor sleeps in the hat or in a glass case. It is goblin-made, imbued with the magic of the deep earth. It waits for a true Gryffindor to need it. The diadem of Ravenclaw is lost in an Albanian forest, then hidden in the Room of Requirement, a tragic artifact of a mother's broken heart. The cup of Hufflepuff is passed down, a symbol of generosity that will eventually be corrupted. And the locket of Slytherin, we know its dark path. These objects are anchors. They tie the modern student, the Harry Potter, the Hermione Granger, back to the time before schools. When Harry pulls the sword from the hat, he is not just performing a magic trick. He is reaching back through time and taking the hand of Godric Gryffindor. He is completing a circuit that began in the moors 1,000 years ago. Now, bring your focus back to yourself, to the present moment. You are lying in your bed. The story of the Druids and the Romans and the founders is fading, but think about the concept of magic we have explored tonight. It wasn't about shooting sparks. It was about connection. The Druids connected with nature. The wand-makers connected the wizard to the tool. The founders connected the students to each other. Magic, in its purest form, is the refusal to be alone in a cold universe. It is the belief that the world is listening to you, that if you speak the right words, if you have the right intent, the world will answer. Look at the image of the Great Hall in your mind one last time. The floating candles, the 4 long tables. It is a place of gathering. It is the antithesis of the lonely cave of Acrisdis, or the solitary tower of Herpo. It is a community. The wind blows through the Scottish Highlands. It ripples the surface of the Black Lake. The giant squid turns in its sleep. The lights in the castle windows go out one by one. The students are asleep. The ghosts, the echoes of the past, drift through the walls, keeping watch. The timeline has caught up to us. The ancient history is done. But the tree is still growing. Every time a child picks up a stick and waves it, imagining sparks. Every time someone looks at the stars and feels a sense of wonder, the roots go deeper. You are part of that story. Your imagination is the wand. Your dream is the spell. Let the heavy stone of the castle fade. Let the Latin words dissolve into soft sounds. You are safe. You are warm. The wards are up. Nothing can harm you here. Drift away from the cliff. Drift away from the lake. Return to the simple, quiet dark of your own room. The fire is embers. The story is told. Sleep now. The magic is waiting for you in your dreams. Good night. There's something deeply comforting, I think, about the idea that magic wasn't invented by a genius in a tower, but discovered by people just trying to survive the night. It started with wonder. It started with looking at a fire, or a star, or a stone, and feeling a kinship with it. We live in a world of screens and data now, and sometimes it feels like we've lost that connection. But when I hear these stories about the Druids listening to the trees, or the founders building a sanctuary, it reminds me that the capacity for wonder is still in us. We might not have wands, but we have curiosity. We have the ability to look at the world and see more than just atoms. Maybe that's the real magic. Not the spells, but the perspective. So tonight, hold on to that. The world is old, and it is deep, and you are a part of it. Sleep well. The forest is quiet. The castle stands guard. Good night.